It's no secret that life has gotten more expensive. Inflation has hit everybody, and now more than ever, people are really looking to stretch that dollar. But what about in Cypress, Texas? Does it offer the affordability that people are looking for? Or have rising house costs, inflation, insurance, and education really made it hard to keep up? Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local realtor helping people just like you relocate from all over our country right to our great city. Let's get to it. Today, we're going to cover the cost of living in Cypress, Texas, and whether or not it makes sense for you to move here. We'll also cover what makes Cypress so appealing, especially to families and retirees. If you're new to my channel, make sure to click the link below and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you never miss another episode. Cypress is one of the most popular destinations in West Houston, known for its great schools, master plan communities, and easy access to Beltway 8 and 610. Residents will tell you that they love Cypress for its family-friendly atmosphere, its easy access to the energy corridor and medical capital of the world, and for its mature trees. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Cypress is exploding. Just in 2024, 77433 was rated one of the fastest growing zip codes in the U.S. And all of that demand put quite a bit of stress on housing prices. So let's chat about that for a moment. In 2024, the average price for a home in Cypress, Texas was just over $425,000. When you compare that against the national average of $417,000, that does put Cypress at 2% more expensive than the national average. And unfortunately, affordability gets just a little bit worse. Here in Texas, we derive a large majority of our revenue from property taxes. Property taxes in Cypress, I would say, is fair to estimate around 2.5%. And to compare that nationally, national taxes are about 1% for properties, right? So you need to budget about 2.5 times whatever you would spend in another state for property taxes here in Cypress. And another factor for you to consider in Cypress, Texas is that homeowners insurance is going to be significant. Now, just a few years ago, even during the pandemic, we could reliably see homeowners insurance policies written around $2,000 or $2,400 for the year. And now I would say at a minimum, you are looking at a $3,000 premium for the whole year for your home insurance. So not only are you paying $425,000 on average for a home, you do need to set aside somewhere between $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year for your taxes and your insurance. Some homeowners have asked me over the years, hey, do you think that I could just get away with a slightly less good insurance policy? Can I lower my deductible by perhaps decreasing the amount of coverage that I get for my home? And I would say be careful with that, right? So Cypress does see its fair share of bad weather. When the derecho came through, think about Cypress. It is on the northwest side of Houston, and those weather storms usually do move northwest to southeast across the greater Houston area. Cypress did take the brunt of a lot of those high winds, and they do have a lot of tributaries and creeks and bayou systems that run all through the area. And so heavy rains can affect homes, maybe a little bit more than other areas as well. So I would say when you are shopping your homeowner's insurance, please don't skimp on your coverage. It is just a part of living in Cypress, Texas. Now, if you consider the traditional wisdom that you shouldn't buy a home that's any more than 3 times your annual income, if the average price in Cypress is $425,000, your annual income should be somewhere around $140,000 for the household. If that feels decent to you, do keep in mind that in Texas, we do have higher taxes and insurance, and that might be that $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. So maybe you want to consider a household income of $150,000. So when people say, is it affordable in Cypress? I would say sort of, right? We're just talking on averages here. Obviously, you can find great properties that are less expensive than that, but in general, we are more expensive than the national average. And of course, another major household expense that comes along with living in Cypress, Texas are going to be your utilities. Now, I would say for a typical median average-ish household, you should expect somewhere between $300 and $350 a month for all of your utilities. So that's going to be electric, it's going to be your gas, it's going to be your water, sewer, trash, and probably your internet. Cable, everyone's got their own preferences, but let's just stick it to those. Here in Houston, we run our air conditioners about 10 months of the year, which means that the vast majority of that $350-ish is going to be allocated towards your HVAC, right? So I would say while that is unfortunate, one of the benefits that we have in Houston is that we are one of the energy capitals of the world. So we have something that's literally called powertochoose.org, where you as a consumer can go choose the service provider who's going to provide you with your electricity. And that is different than other cities, states, municipalities, where it really is just one choice. So you can kind of tailor your per kilowatt hour price according to how you live in your home. But I would say in low months, you might be $100, $150 for electricity. On high months, you're probably going to be hitting that $200, $250 pretty quickly with running that AC. Now, the benefit of it being hot is that we don't really get all that cold. So your gas bill is not going to be all that expensive. Throughout the year, you're mostly just running your stove and your water heater. The furnace really doesn't come on all that much. I would say in general, gas bill being $35-ish is about right. Maybe a high is going to be $60 for the month. Now, water is kind of tricky. Let's say you own a regular home with no pool. I would say a water bill that's $45, $50 is going to be about right. And those water bills typically are your water, sewer, and your trash bills. So I would say no less than 40 is probably about right. Maybe 50 would be a good one to estimate. If you have a home with a pool, that is going to cost you probably somewhere between $75 to $100 more than that, just to keep that pool running and gunning and in good shape. Now, Internet is widely available across the Houston area, and especially in Cypress. Like, you're not going to run into too terrible many pockets where they're like, gosh, we just haven't gotten our utilities out here yet. That might be something that you're going to see further out towards Waller County, like when you flip over the Grand Parkway going further west. In general, I would say $70-ish for a decent internet plan is about what you can expect. Fiber optic internet is not fully available everywhere, but a ton of people work from home, a ton of people are internet dependent, and I would not call it a major issue in Cypress, Texas. Another major factor of anyone's cost of living, of course, is food. And in Cypress, Texas, we have the good benefit of being slightly below the national average on cost. Groceries in our area are about 2% less expensive than the national average. And a lot of that is really helped by my favorite grocery store, H-E-B, which y'all know if you've watched a couple of my videos. And fortunately for you, in Cypress, there is a high density of wonderful H-E-Bs. There are 4 of them in a pretty tight radius. A lot of our out-of-staters don't know about H-E-B. It is a Texas grocery store, and it really is a wonderful place. They have everyday low prices. A lot of people are familiar with like the national brands like Kroger or Randall's or Tom Thumb. We do have Randall's, we do have Kroger, but I would say most locals are going to shop at H-E-B. Also, Cypress does have the benefit of having their own Costco and their own Sam's Club. It's right there on the 290 corridor. So if you are a member to each of those places, that can help you save, of course, not only on your household items, but also the gas benefits are there as well. And speaking of gas prices, let's touch on that for a minute. This is Houston. This is the energy capital of the world. And we do have the benefit of being at least near these refineries and these storage tanks and these pipelines that carry all of this crude oil, right? So that is reflected in our gas price. Nationally, in November of 2025, at the time of this video, the average price for a regular gallon of gas is $3.04. And in Houston, our average price was $2.56. So put differently, if you were to go to a pump and try to fill up your tank, maybe 15 gallons, that's going to run you about $38. Now, to be fair, you are probably going to be at that pump a little bit more often. Houston is huge, and you're talking at least 50 miles. So to get wherever you're going, it's going to burn through more gas. So yes, our gas prices are lower, and you probably will have to fill up a little bit more frequently if you're moving from a smaller town. And speaking of transportation, let's touch on that for just a second. Most people, I would say, aren't necessarily able to benefit from rideshare or like the metro that has an express shuttle from Cypress into downtown. That option is available to you. There's park and rides that will give you that shuttle access. But I would say it's not necessarily ultra convenient, and it still is going to get you probably an hour-ish long commute. Now, the benefit, of course, of this is that you're not responsible for driving. You're not burning rubber. You're not burning oil or paying for your own gas. And if you are one that has to take phone calls, do it with your earbuds. Don't be a menace. But if you need to do some work on your laptop, if you need to take advantage of that hour and can really work during that time, that shuttle is going to be a huge benefit to you. On the flip side, if you're commuting and you can't do the bus thing, it's just not an option for you, I would say in peak hours, it's going to be kind of a rough go. Yes, on paper, it might look like 20, 25 miles to get to the Galleria area, to get to downtown, but reasonably, it's not a 30-minute drive. You are looking at an hour-long-ish commute. Now, there is an HOV lane or a high occupancy vehicle lane where if there is more than one driver, you can make use of that lane to kind of bypass a bunch of traffic. And during peak commuting hours, there is an option for you to pay a toll. So you don't have two people in the car, but you can pay a toll to travel inbound and then pay a toll to travel outbound. Now, during peak commuting hours, those rates can be $7 just to go one way, like from Cypress into where 290 dead ends into 610. And going outbound, it can be $5. So like max $12 a day. You're doing that 5 days a week, $60. Like that can add up really fast. So I would say the toll is a nice option available to you if you absolutely have to use it. I would say most people that I know don't spend $60 a week commuting. Now, another major household expense that everyone has to consider with kids is, of course, going to be childcare. And the great news is that if you are moving out to Cypress, Texas, there are going to be a ton of options available to you. They have everything from private daycares, private schools, Mother's Day Out programs, or small programs that are at churches. There's kind of a choose your own adventure for everyone. The consensus that I saw is that the childcare is going to cost you about $300-ish a week. So that can rack in at somewhere around $12.50 a month, all the way up to maybe $13.50 per month for full-time childcare. And that's going to be somewhere that opens from maybe 6:30 and closes at 6:30. And then the Mother's Day Out programs, those usually offer somewhere between 4 and 5 hours, 2 or 3 times a week. So maybe 10 to 12 hours of childcare each week. And that would run you in a month about $300 or $400. So if you need just a little bit of time, those programs are available to you. And if you need full-time care, you will find that as well. Now, it is important for you to know that if you are planning a move to Cypress, Texas, and you know that you need childcare, I would strongly recommend that you call through several of the locations to see what type of availability that they have. Pre-COVID, I would say it was very common to hear that you needed to be on a wait list for at least 3 or 4 months to be able to find a spot for enrollment. But I would say in the last several years, that has gotten better to where you are probably going to find a couple more options available to you. Now, a huge driver in people choosing to move to Cypress is that there is so much childcare that is available. If you are living in town or you know someone who's living in town, it's very common to hear them say that they would have to be on a wait list for at least a year. And those those childcare costs are at least a few $100s more expensive per month per child. So by no means is $1,250 or $1,350 not expensive. It is in line with what we're seeing in the national average, but it is at least available to you when you're planning your move to Cypress. Now, most people who are considering a move to Cypress, Texas for higher education, so you're past the daycare years and you're into kinder, first, second, all the way up. Most people who are moving to the Cypress area are wanting to take advantage of the schools that are available in Cyfair ISD. But of course, there are people that still would prefer private. Now, to get your child enrolled in 8 months, a traditional calendar school year, is probably going to be an entry-level cost. The lowest that I saw was about $13,500 for an academic school year, and it can very easily top $20,000, $22,000 for an academic year. So that isn't inexpensive, but there are options available to you if that is what you would like to pursue. With top-tier education, great neighborhoods, and easy access to a lot of different destinations within Houston, it's easy to see why people choose Cypress, Texas as a place to live. It absolutely is a destination for folks with little ones, and it's easy to understand why. With the cost of living being a little bit better than being in the actual inner loop of Houston, making a move to Cypress is an easy conclusion for a lot of folks to make. And while we're not as inexpensive as we used to be, Cypress offers affordable options, especially when you consider that it's a major suburb of the nation's 4th largest city. If you're thinking about moving to the Cypress or West Houston area, I would love to be your realtor. Check the description below to see the best way to connect. And if you found value in what you've watched today, make sure to click the link below and subscribe, because we put content like this out every single week. See you soon.